all about precision. But do you really know where you're losing time? Your braking, throttle control, and racing line. Every detail matters. But without the right data, you're just guessing. This is where RACEDATA gives you the edge. Instantly analyze your lap data, see exactly where you're losing time, and make real improvements. Know your weaknesses, fix them, get faster. Stop guessing, start improving. Try RACEDATA today.
Hello everyone and welcome. We are live from Long Beach, California, located on the eastern seaboard of America for the RACEDATA AI ARL prototypes here on Apex Racing TV. We have qualifying coming up first with 20 minutes on the clock, and we will pick the action up in just a moment, halfway through that session now, and then the full race to come, 60 minutes around this stunning 1.96 mile or 3.16 kilometer circuit. My name is Ashley Denman, alongside me is Dan Field, and our production manager behind the scenes, Sam Fitzpatrick. Dan, last time out we were in for quite a treat when we got to the finish line at Fuji. I mean, are we maybe looking for something similar here, expecting much of the same?
Well, it was a brilliant race last time out in Fuji, I thought, especially into the last 20 minutes. I believe it was Turoshki that ran out of fuel on the line, lost the position to Nucera in the end. It was a lot of drama all the way through. Nucera's on our screen at the minute as well. But yeah, it was a fantastic race last time out in Fuji, and I think today is certainly going to be very interesting, given by the obvious thing you can see on your screen, it's raining.
Yes, precipitation is lining the circuit, you can say. So yeah, wet and wonderful session. Normally we are treated to sunny skies over this part of America, at least anyway. Los Angeles, very much known for its picturesque scenes and hot weather, but not today. It's going to be a little bit drizzly out there, and I'm sure the driver's going to have to relish in this challenge this evening. And we should see, I think, pretty much a bit more of a mixed field here this evening, Dan, because we were discussing earlier on how the LMP2s may even be able to keep up with the GTPs.
Yeah, well, the LMP2s have got a more mechanical grip than the GTPs, and they can't really get the foot down so well in these wet weather conditions, especially around a circuit like Long Beach, because of it's basically all corners. It's very traction heavy, and the LMP2s are going to thrive tonight, where the GTPs, especially in the rain, might struggle a bit.
Yeah, they certainly will, and like we said there, it's a bit easier to put your foot down also in that LMP2. It's a lot more manageable, sort of getting the power to the road surface itself, going through the tyre, of course, I'm talking about. As we see here, Benoit Favre getting a little bit squirrely into 3 and 4 of the fountain section, even there through turn number 5 and here for 6. I think the characteristics of this circuit, of course, as well, Dan, we can't really not mention them. Of course, it is a street circuit first and foremost, so tight corners, walls, of course, lining the circuit, so you really are sort of squeezed into a small confined space. I mean, that's going to be an extra challenge in itself, and they've just decided to throw a load of water on it too.
It's a very, very tricky circuit, is this track, and well, IndyCar was here last night. That was a fun and entertaining race. I was juggling that with the Masters on at the very same time, and what an evening of sporting it was on Sunday. I believe Monday is going to give it a run for its money, as Benoit Favre is really struggling in his car at the minute, in his Cadillac GTP, and that is, of course, where the difference is, especially in the corners. But Tamash, he doesn't care. He's gone to the top of the timing screens ahead of all of the LMP2 cars, as Favre can only manage 9th. There was quite a lot of traffic in his way on his run, so maybe you'll want to go once again. But there is Norbert Tamash on your screen, and yeah, quickest of the bunch, almost, well, about 3.5 tenths.
Yeah, let's have a look at those championship standings now then, because you mentioned there Tamas on top, and I think it's very much not going to be forgotten that he's on top either, because here they are, the standings themselves, and right there, Tamas right at the top. Segro, though, has managed to get back past Turoshki there for second on 250 points himself, and therefore Turoshki third, 246. Diogo Salipa is now lying fourth with 239, and Simone Nucera on 235 in fifth. And as we move over to the amateur class himself, Julian Retty on 205, and it gets really tight here with Christian Malcharek on 196, with Hugo Preto on 193. Paul Crawford is 4th, and Zoltan Bedo 5th, 182 and 179 respectively. And let's move to the LMPs. There's Benjamin Figueiredo, 270, and very much dominating this pro LMP2 category, because Aston Wilby second is almost 50 points back on 228. James Ibram is 3rd on 212, and I should say tied 3rd there with Matthew Crisp, who is also on the same points, and Simon Graff currently 5th on 183. And last but not least, the LMP2 amateur category, Fabio Grassetto also having quite a nice run at this championship too. He's on 231 out front, with Lucas Diaz in 2nd there on 216. Nick Mercer, the American, maybe hoping for a home advantage here. He's on 207 in 3rd, with Joris Ooms on 122 and Melvin Huygen on 120 there in 5th. In terms of the championship standings for the team side of things, we've got Manatee Racing leading there on 169. And then when we go to the LMPs, we've got Effect Simulations Club Sport there on 461. Quite some gaps and margins there in the team standings. I think that just shows consistency among teammates, really, though, more than anything itself, Dan.
Absolutely, and of course, driving that Effect Simulations team forward is Benjamin Figueiredo. I mean, what a race last time out in Fuji, hoping for the same, down in 11th as it stands. We're coming towards the end of qualifying at the minute, just reaching over 2 minutes left to go. Seems like Tamash and Nucera have been able to infiltrate the LMPs. Retty's done well again. Of course, last time out in Fuji, Retty was on the front row as an amateur driver, mixing it in with all the pros. That was very impressive. Fell back slightly in the race. Benoit Favre has just gone into 3rd position and slides his way into the barrier there. I mean, that was a very heavy hit. I think that will spell the end of his qualifying.
Yeah, well, at least he got the lap finished and managed to jump up to 3rd. So I think that it could be pretty safe, though, when looking at it, because it is incredibly difficult conditions out there, and finding little bits of, time here and there is going to be quite some talent. We can see that Tarowski has now gone 4th fastest, some half a second off of there. So, yeah, really difficult conditions to try and manage. And that is a mighty impressive lap from Hafler Darson in his LMP2. Currently 5th overall when you're looking at it. You know, Retty is in the faster category. We've got quite a few drivers still down towards the lower end of the field that have, well, they've either been really struggling to heat up the tyres, or maybe the LMP2 really is just the better car here in the conditions we got presented to us.
I mean, this is really going to be exciting, given the mix of grid just in terms of pace. I believe that the GTPs are still going to lead the way, regardless of how they're mixed in. However, just given that the fact that the LMP2s have shown promise in qualifying, that they can mix it in and catch up to the GTPs, it's going to make for a very, very interesting race, maybe 10 minutes or so in, when they start catching up and really causing some issues for the GTPs. So I think we're in for a very interesting race. It's a very difficult circuit to have a proper race on, given the difficult nature of this track. However, with the rain at play, we're going to see some very fun racing tonight.
Yeah, we certainly are. I think mixed and chaotic springs to mind, just on everything we're sort of saying at the moment, just purely down to weather, cars and the circuit all factored into one, as Nucera there jumps up to 3rd place now, ahead of Favre. So that's a nice lap from him. We just saw Segro go 13th, starts his final lap as qualifying has come to an end now. So up to the checkered flag, first of all, is going to be Tamas. Has he found another little improvement on this time by? Yes, he does. An extra 10th there, and is the first to dip into the 122s. Charovsky has also found 2nd place in all of this as well. And now Nucera has just pipped him there over the line, so Nucera jumps up to 2nd instead. I'm not too sure. Yeah, Charovsky is still on the lap, in fact, so maybe he can have a chance to respond here.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're watching Cabral come to the line, jumps ahead of Antonino Sigaro, who is on a run into the final parts of the lap. Tarowski, we are watching right now, currently in third position, just behind Nucera, looking to make it a Manatee 1 and 2 as he's headed now through, I believe, this is turn number 11 to finish up his lap. Sigaro, okay, I've lost everything. It's not going to count for Tarowski, so I believe that is the end of qualifying. Sigaro has put it into 12th position. Very disappointing qualifying for Sigaro, considering the strong performance that he had last week.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for him, that's for sure, as we see Pettersson here. Now just finishing that lap, goes 9th fastest there, so I think that was a slight improvement, but not a massive one in the grand scheme of things. Is Seagrow still on a lap? I'm just trying to work that one out because he's a lap timer down in the bottom corner there, but I think it may already be over for him, although he's gone green here once again in the middle, but I think this is just him finding his way back to the pit lane itself. So yeah, qualifying is over. The grid has been set. The only nice thing for the top class here, Dan, of course, they won't have the LMP2s in the way because they will be filtered into their own category behind them, because theoretically, the LMDHs, the GTPs, they should be the faster category, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out itself in the race. But Norbert Tamas will take pole position, the only man in the 122s for this session. Simone Nucera takes home second and will start alongside him. Balázs Tarowski is third with Benoit Favre fourth. Then we get to Julian Retty and Oliver Peterson 5th and 6th. Antonino Sigaro will be 7th with Cesar Cabral in 8th position. And it's a nice mix here of the pros and the amateurs as well. So this should be fascinating to see who's going to come out on top today. As we go a little bit further down the field, Ludovic Juret is going to be 9th with Leo Leung in 10th. And Zoltan Bedo and Nathaniel Wilkins 11th and 12th. John Williams is going to be 13th with Hugo Preto 14th, keeping him company here on the starting grid with Cedric Kolbum and Christian Malcharek there 15th and 16th. And then we finally get to the LMP2s. Michael Harford-Darson will be 17th on the grid, or pole position for the LMP2s. Lucas Diaz 18th. Matthew Crisp is 19th with James Ibram keeping him company there in 20th. Fabio Grassetto 21st with Benjamin Figueroa 22nd. That's going to be quite a challenge for him today by the looks of things. Asilas Kragvolik is 23rd with Aston will be keeping him company alongside in 24th. Have we got any more further down the field? Let's find out. I think that might be everybody. So there is your grid, getting things started off here. I mean, Dan, what are you looking at when you're keeping your eyes sort of forward down towards turn number 1? Tricky corner here in these conditions, I will say.
Yeah, I think it is definitely going to be helped by the fact that this is a single file start, so they're not going to be bunching up and going 2 by 2. That could quite literally end the entire race before it has started, but it's certainly going to be a very interesting ride into that first corner. It's all about the exit off of the hairpin down at turn 11, because then you've got to get that run into that first corner. But I'm very excited to see the mix in field spread as they get away. They will pull into a single file line. I'm very, very excited to see how this all pans out, given that the LMP2s like Hafler-Darson, oh dear, it says a Cabral.
Oh, that is already early on, and you can see there the conditions catching somebody out. Is he going to have to wait, or is he going to have to... He's called it into pit lane. Well, it's going to be a pit lane start then for Cesar Cabral, and immediately well, you can't say we've lost him because he's still in this race, but yeah, that is not the normal getaway you normally see, is it? But either way, everyone else seems to have got away pretty cleanly so far. And in this brief moment before we get going, I'll just have a nice shout out to our sponsor of RACEDATA AI, which is the user-friendly telemetry tool that helps sim racers improve their performance. And it starts right from word go on day one, where you can easily spot and manage areas for improvement in order to be able to go faster and faster around your favourite circuit. So big thanks to RACEDATA AI for sponsoring the ARL Prototype Championship. And we'll mention them a bit later on as well. But go check them out in the link below if you want to get an idea of what they're all about. But I think this is it, Dan. Round the final corner, as far as I'm aware, they've been instructed basically to go as soon as they hit the exit here, and I think Tomasz has done exactly that. This is going to be about who can manage the traction best out of the final corner in these wet conditions, and not to mention, you've also got to worry about the spray because it's kicking up buckets forwards. Oh, that's a huge off already for one of the championship leaders. Simone Nucera off into the wall and has completely totaled his car.
Didn't even make it to the first corner. Simone Nucera out of this race. Tragedy has struck for him as now the LMP2s are getting underway. Here is the replay looking at what's happened to Nucera. That is a tragic moment for him. Very sad to see as now the LMP2s are indeed getting underway. What has happened with Hafler Darson? They are just getting their race started, heading down into that first corner. Drama already.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was right through the first kink, and yeah, cold tyres and a wet surface do not mix well, as I think the line there from Hafler Darson was he's just trying to get off the racing line. Is this going to be tricky here for the rejoining LMDH driver? There is, oh, Diaz has gone deep, he's into the runoff area, straight down towards turn number 2, more cars into the barrier. That's Benjamin Figueroa, and that's going to cost him dearly as well. He's got some big damage. Diaz gets it spun around, and I think he's going to get away with that unscathed, thankfully. And this is going to be a race of survival, I feel, Dan. This is intense already, and we've not even finished lap 1.
Oh, I mean, it's all over the place already. Here is Hafler Darson. Look at the gap he has pulled to James Ebram behind. 4 seconds between Hafler Darson and Ebram. Then the rest of the pack follows suit. It is already, we're a minute and a half into this race, and it's already just exploded. So we're in for a treat this evening. At the front of the order, it's been very uneventful for the GTP pros, aside from Simone Nucera. Favre doing a nice job keeping up with the 2 Manatee drivers. Last time out, oh dear, there's a split. That's Zoltan Bedo.
Bedo getting it wrong into turn number 1, couldn't find the grip on the apex of the corner, and I think this is another thing we should mention, is that's another car off into the fountain. Who was that? I think Oliver Peterson it was. He completely lost the front end of that car. Let's get a replay. What went on just there? Into turn number 1 goes Peterson, all fine and good. Into the braking zone now for turn 3, 4. The fountain, he goes straight on. Look at that.
Oh my word. I mean, that was, really, it's anyone's guess as to what happened there. He really just couldn't get the brakes applied. And that is tragic for Pettersson. He's kept the car going. Surely he's going to have to make a pit stop and get that car serviced. There's Cedric Holmbaum. There's Oliver Pettersson. Yeah, he's just getting out the way of everyone. Tragic start for many drivers in this race. Lots of offs. I've counted about 4 now. So it's really all over the shop.
Yeah, this is going to be, like I say, it is a race of survival. And let's have a look at Nucera's start here. Oh, just got away from him. Going to get that replay. You don't often see this in iRacing. Yeah, action replays, quite literally. Into turn 1. It's too... do you know what it could have been? I wonder if he's just touched the paintwork on the road here, Dan, because iRacing is absolutely fantastic in simulating realism like this, and its weather model, when you get to wet weather, is almost unmatched by any other sim. And when you do hit a white line or, you know, the start-finish line, it's painted, you do get less grip, and it will do something like this, and it's caught Nucera out.
Oh, it's not for Nucera. That is amazing, as Pettersson is still struggling to keep... There's another car having an off.
Prato off.
Prato. What is happening? It seems to be the common theme is that it's all the GTPs getting it wrong. They've got that... They can't get the power applied, as he's had another off into the fountain. This is heading in towards the first corner for Hugo Prato. Under braking. Oh, dear me. There's another car off just in front of him. And yeah, just straight into the ball.
Yeah, absolutely too much pace on that car going in, and just could not get it stopped. And I will also say to you, Dan, because I know you're fairly new in the world of iRacing, and just to add to the realism, you don't want to be on the racing line. And reason being, in like a real world scenario, if you're on that racing line and it gets wet, that rubber turns like ice, and it sort of holds all the oils in, and as soon as you put water on it as well, that's it. It completely loses all grip. So the real brave drivers, such as Tomasz here, they will try and get as close to it as they dare, but they are treading a fine line, because if one false move, it could easily go all wrong, as this is going to be a replay then of lap number 1 as well. What are we looking at here? This is Grosseto down to turn 1. Oh, he's also having to take to the runoff area. He got it round a lot quicker than Diaz did earlier, though. I was saying there was more, wasn't there?
It's Cabral. Cabral spun off the start, and there's Lucas Diaz there. Cabral spun off the start and then barely made it into the first corner. He is struggling at the start of this race. So many replays, so much going on. That's another one.
I was about to say something's happened to Holborn. He was dropping on my timing tower down, and there it is.
What on earth is happening? Let's see what's happened with Holborn. It's down into that first corner again. As what have we seen here again? Into the first turn. We've seen this 1,000 times already. Completely stuffs it on into the wall. That front right suspension is gone completely.
Yeah, well, the wheel barely hanging on when you're looking at it. Who's this? Oh, it's still Cedric Holborn. I think he might call it back to the pits. Yes, he did. Fair play. Sensible decision, I feel. This, I think, we're only 5 minutes in, not even that, really. 6 minutes in, I should say. Tomas still leading, a mighty impressive lead, and Trotsky behind him. So Manatee Racing having a good time of it. Maybe the seafaring animal in their name is giving them the power in the wet. I don't know. As that's Nathaniel Wilkins off the circuit. I think got away with that a little bit there, but this could be anybody's race, because I feel with the conditions that they are, the cars that we are driving here, they are tricky even in the dries. This is testing everybody's skill here, and I feel you could even see an LMP2 maybe even overall winner by the end of it. Who knows?
Something happened with Tarowski, because Favre's got past him and Tarowski's completely dropped off the pace. Not too sure what's happened with him there, but even the pro GTP drivers are having problems so far today as we're panning through the field. Frigerio had an off earlier on. Aston Wilby qualified quite poorly, still keeping the car going. Fabio Grosseto was off at turn number 1, as was Lucas Diaz. These guys are settling into the race, hopefully getting a bit more comfortable with the conditions, but with the amount that has happened, it is very hard to believe that we are only 7 minutes into this hour-long race.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a long one for the drivers, definitely, as we can see here, Nuceri's back out onto the circuit, so maybe our production manager can confirm this one, but do they get one fast repair for this race? Yes, we're getting confirmation that they do, so even if the drivers have had one massive off, they may have used that lifeline already, so now it really is about keeping it out of the walls, but Nucera already back into this, thanks to the fast repair, so just because they've had that big incident already doesn't mean they're completely out of it. As Tarowski is in the pit, so what has happened to him?
I noted something with that Tarowski had dropped off the pace, and now into the pit 7 minutes in, something has happened to Balázs Tarowski, getting the car going once again, and that is a fast repair. We do believe that we've just heard from our production manager, so Tarowski has had an off at some point, and we were hyping up these guys not just 2 minutes ago. I believe we're going to get a replay of Tarowski. No, this is Julian Retti. Something's happened with him.
I'm going to find out. I think this may just be a replay of him. Well, he's going down the start finish straight, taking the wide line there. That's the racing line in this wet conditions, because if you try and hug the inside wall and the official racing line, I think you're going to get a replay of what we saw Nucera do on lap number 1. So a lot of these other drivers wised up to that very quickly indeed, and not too sure what that was there, Dan, but either way, we got a nice replay of how Retti is meant to take turn number 1, as this is going to be Tarowski, and hopefully the replay of what happened to him here. We're down at the far end of the circuit, turn 6. Ooh, and the rear just stepped out on him.
Yeah, that is tragic for Tarowski, and I mean, no one, absolutely no one is safe here at Long Beach. I mean, what is happening? We're barely 10 minutes into this race. Tarowski has had that quick repair. Lucas Diaz has had another off down into that, I believe that's turn number 1 again. So they are all really struggling on the braking into that first corner. That's a different part of the circuit. Turn number 7. Sorry. I mean, it's difficult all over the shop. Here's Benjamin Frigerio. Already had an off. This is nothing's actually happened here. He's just giving us a brilliant display. Never mind.
That's a big off because the whole rear decided to just disintegrate on impact as well. You can see it limping, suspension massively damaged, as we're going to get a replay here for Craig Vrolic, and we're being told this is also another incident. This is into the final turn of number 11, about to enter Shoreline Drive, and he's going to loop the car round. Too much onto the throttle. Can he get it straightened up nice and easy, or is he going to hit someone on the rejoin? I hope he doesn't. Oh, no, that's going to turn into a bit of a car park. Oh, there comes Diaz as well. Oh, that was mighty impressive on the reflexes there from Lucas Diaz.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to react in these conditions, and they've all bunched up at this part of the circuit. There's Leo Leung going off. Once again, another car having an incident, getting passed by that big pack of cars. There's Balash Tarowski, we're watching him here. Look at everyone concertinaing onto the same bit of tarmac. I'm very worried that something is going to be at play here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, they don't even need cars nearby to have problems here this evening. This is Seagrove trying to go the long way round the outside, takes that inside line. That was a legitimate overtake as there's a car spun on exit, but that was a fantastic move from Antonino. Is he going to get repassed back on the run down here? This is going to be interesting because someone's going to have to take that inside racing line. That's Harford Darson in the LMP2, so they're going to just pull away from him as they get towards the end of this. I think that was Chorosky that had to go for that inside racing line as Hartford Darson's going to go for a move on a different car class, and he's done it. There's no way he's just managed that.
I think he has. I think Siguro has been caught absolutely napping by Michael Hafler-Darson, the LMP2 leader, as it stands. Has really driven a faultless race so far. Siguro was following in the wheel tracks of Tarowski. Hafler-Darson stepped out of the spray, went for the move up the inside. A very nice overtake from him there, and now has got Tarowski in his crosshairs. Here's James Ibram on the back of Leo Leung. He's in a bit of a GTP sandwich at the minute. Everyone following in behind each other as it stands, and Ibram is all over the rear of Leo Leung, who had an off a couple of laps ago, flashing the lights. I believe I can't remember what happened last time out as Tamash disappeared off the timing tower. He's down in 15th position now.
Oh, he's in pit lane. What has happened to Tamas? I just want to quickly point out maybe to Harford Darson, or we'll come back to that in a second. We'll get the replay here. What has happened to Tamas? He was leader. It's now Favre who is leading. This is down to turn one, taking a bit more of a racing line. As I mentioned earlier, slightly more risky. Who has whacked him there into the barrier? That was huge. And then another tap on the way through. I'd love to get another angle of that to see what has happened, because that is absolutely massive. Tamas down into turn one. That looks like it's going to be an LMP2. Massively late on the brakes and absolutely murdered him.
That is something else there. He's just lost the front part of the front of his car, just for good measure. So Norbert Tamash, the race leader. Oh dear, it was Craig Vollick, we're getting word, was the one that went up the inside, if we're not mistaken. Indeed it was. In towards that first corner. What has he done there? He can barely see Tamash's car, and then he just appears out of the spray. The pair of them spearing off into the barrier at turn number one. That was something else.
I think there's going to be some stern talking to after this race between some of the drivers. Yeah, I don't think we'll be privy to that one, Dan, but I can't imagine why not. But in all of the excitement and the chaos that is ensuing, this man, Benoit Favre, has taken the lead, and he's got some 20-second margin back to Julien Retty in second and Ludovic Giret in third. They're pretty close on the circuit, the pair of them there, both for the virtual drivers team. So that's going to be interesting to see if they can pick up some big points here, and maybe some big points in the Drivers' Championship. I should say Favre is also virtual drivers as well. So apologies for that. We got 1, 2, 3. Fantastic stuff. Look at that.
Well done, everyone. And Benoit Favre is one of the only drivers who's not put a foot wrong so far. But I think the old phrase goes here that you shouldn't count your chickens before they hatch. Just anything can happen here. We didn't expect what happened with Tamash there to have him be completely obliterated into that first corner. And yeah, you're absolutely right. There is going to be some stern words, some talking tos after this race. We're about a quarter of the way through, just coming up to that now, and it's all still ready to kick off.
Yeah, it could kick off at any moment, definitely. I want to go back to the Half-Ladata. Apologies, I know we've maybe skipped a bit further along, as we may see another move here. That was really tense into turn number 8, I feel. It's going to be a bit of a drag down to the next corner. But Half-Ladata, sorry, back to him. And it does involve this man in Antonino Segro, in fact. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that overtake that Half-Ladata has made on Segro earlier on was the first official overtake on an LMP2 and an LMDH, and I mean like an actual race pace scenario, not because they've had an incident, not because they've crashed, but an actual overtake on pace that has happened in this series. I want to make a bet that that was the first one ever.
Oh, we might see another one here. James Ebram is all over the rear of Seguro, possibly not into the first corner, possibly so, is getting a little bit squirrely, headed through that first corner is James Ebram, but into the braking zone of turn number 1 very, very shortly. We're 300 metres out. No, James Ebram's going to hang back for now on Seguro, but he looks a lot more confident than Antonino. Winner last time out in Fuji, really struggled in qualifying, was a decent bit slower than a couple of the LMP2s, I believe. 12th overall was Seguro. Now he's got himself up to 7th following the incidents of all the other drivers, but he could see himself in a spot of bother as James Ebram looks to be haggling him for that P7.
Well, qualifying doesn't mean anything in a race like this because it is just about survival. You could start in last and find your way up towards the podium spots if you just keep it clean on circuit and just watch everybody around you drop like flies. But either way, looking forward at it, it's looking pretty chaotic at the moment, Dan, as Tomas has rejoined this race down in 15th. And a lap behind as that's another car off into the fountain section. As we jumped here to Benoit Favre, just trying to work out who that one is. It's Hugo Prato getting it all wrong. Turn 1, probably no problems, and then tricky turn 2 and 3 here, and 4 into the fountain. Oh, the rear's gone on him.
Dear me, and I think the one solace that these drivers can take in this race so far, it's getting a bit sunnier, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed for their sakes, and possibly for us, if we want to see some proper racing, that we are going to see some sunny, clear skies, possibly just a bit lighter rain, because it's been very, very difficult on these drivers so far. But the sun is on the circuit, the clouds have parted, and it is looking a lot more beautiful here in Long Beach, California.
Yeah, certainly is. And Long Beach itself celebrating its 50 years of racing this year in 2025, so the Golden Jubilee. And with the sun looking on the circuit the way it is, you very much a golden circuit in that regard as well. So almost poetic in that sort of sense. But it does look like the rain is still falling out there though, Dan. So we might, well, in some cultures we call that a monkey's birthday. I don't know about yourself, but rain and sun, yeah, it's certainly an odd mixture of weather.
Well, we're gonna get a nice rainbow out on circuit, possibly. Nucera got through on Aston Wilby through turn number 1, and now he's got himself through on Nathaniel Wilkins. So after that turn number 1 spin for Nucera on the very first lap, he's been able to adjust quite nicely into this race, getting through on an LMP2 car, then getting through on a fellow GTP brethren. So nice stuff there from Nucera, as now Grassetto goes through on Aston Wilby. Nucera, oh my word. Oh my word, that is possibly the commentator's curse of a century there. Saying Simone Nucera. Yeah, dear me. I'm sorry, Simone. That's all I can say.
Maybe a written worded apology might do better for him. I don't know, you were singing his praises and next corner, oh, it all went wrong. It's such a shame because, yeah, like you say, after that start he sort of managed to get back into a rhythm, and that is what this circuit requires, is rhythm. Down here into turn 9. Oh, Firestone corner biting, and I think that could have been paintwork once again. Twice then for him. No, he's had his one fast repair now, so he's going to have to wait for it. If it's 20 minutes of repairs, it's 20 minutes of repairs. He'll be waiting in the pit lane for him.
Yeah, very sad there for Nucera. Could be race over after that one. I want to draw a bit of attention to the YouTube chat. Krajvolik, one of our racers here tonight, has actually issued a nice apology to Norbert Tamas there, saying that it was completely his fault, of course, having their having their incident in that first corner. You got to say it's good sportsmanship. Of course, a massive mistake there, ruining 2 races. But it's good to see Crowd Frolic taking up responsibility. So well done there.
Yeah, fair play. As we'll get back into the action itself, though. This is Haflidarsson looking backwards this time, because I think he's got Segro right on his rear tailpipe as we make our way down towards turn 1. This is where we saw the move from Haflidarsson getting past Segro all those laps ago, and what a fantastic move it was. And like I say, I think that might be a bit of a record landmark of a move as well in doing so. But at the moment, he's very much looking in his rear view mirrors because he has got a faster car behind him. I mean, if he wants to, of course, he has every right to race him, because they are, you know, technically overall going for positions. He does not have to let him through if he doesn't want to. But equally, James Ibram, flash of the lights, he really wants Segro out the way. So LMP2, well, you can clearly see it's got some pace.
Ibram's thumb is really going to be hurting by the end of this one. I think every time he's been on picture, he has been flashing the headlights. He really wants to go through on Segro. He looks closer than he has been before. Tarowski further up the road has got through on Uret there. So a nice move from the Hungarian, getting himself into 4th position overall. James Ibram is following in the wheel tracks of Segro, who's gone straight on down in towards turn number 9, I believe that is. And, well, James Ibram wanted the his car's just exploded in front of us there. I have no idea how that's happened. He didn't go into the wall or anything.
That is spectacular.
I think he might have just backed into
slightly.
it.
Yeah,
tried to spin
slightly.
the car. Dear me.
How much explosive energy does metal and carbon fibre contain, I wonder? That'd be a fantastic question to get the answer to. Because it really did fly.
It really didn't, and given the speed that he was at, he was basically stopped, and then the car just explodes. So
it's going round as well.
He
hasn't pitted in. Let's see, is he going to stop? Because without a rear wing, if that is true, like what we're seeing on our screens, without the rear wing, he's going to have massive reduction in downforce, and that's going to be ultra tricky when going into braking zones especially. And with some of these cars, I might need to be reminded of which ones it is, but the brake bias moves to the rear, and it migrates as you get into the braking zones, and your foot goes on. And if he's in one of those cars, I think the Cadillac might actually be one. That could spell disaster for him.
He's gonna keep on trucking, but into the braking zones, you can see how tentative he is, just how careful he's having to force himself to drive. He's losing a lot of time to Leo Lung ahead of him on circuit. That is another GTP, I believe, another Cadillac as well. Here is Benoit Favre. He's having a very nice time of things at the minute, near 20 seconds ahead of his virtual driver's teammates in Retty. So very well done. It's not a 1-2-3 anymore, unfortunately. Uret's fallen off the pace ever so slightly, but it's still a 1-2. And I think for virtual drivers, you've got to be very happy about how this race is going so far.
Oh yeah, you absolutely have to in that sort of aspect. But I mean, there's still a long way to go. We're not even at the halfway mark yet. But I mean, you know, just like I said earlier, keeping it on the circuit, I think is going to be winner of the day. So survival is definitely on the agenda. As this is Bedo here with Chorosky right behind him. So his fellow countryman. Ooh, that was close indeed, because that was a little bit squirrely into turn number 8 there. But just about managed to hold it all together. But it's going to be fascinating how this one unfolds, Dan. I mean, I don't really think we can take our eyes off this one yet.
No, we're coming up to the halfway point of this race. I believe Norbert Tamash has found a move on Nathaniel Wilkins, so he's finding his way up the order nicely. Here's Zoltan Bedo right on the rear of Retty, and Tarowski has caught the back of this train, so it could be very, very exciting. And Tarowski lapping, look at the speeds in comparison, lapping 2 seconds quicker than Zoltan Bedo in front of him. Look at the lap 14 differential between the pair of them, 5.4 seconds. Tarowski, I'd bet he is the quickest man on circuit. I think, yeah, no, he does have the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, he certainly does. I'm just trying to see his teammate in Tomas, also in the 123s as well, just a tenth slower. So those two, I mean, he's down in 12th, unfortunately, but those two drivers for Manatee Racing, absolutely flying around here at Long Beach. It's just a matter of can he get a move done, because it's tricky enough trying to get a move done in the dry here, let alone in torrential rain such as this. You can see the different lines they're all trying to take to absolutely maximize the grip that they have. And yeah, just sort of working the wheel, I can imagine, in the cockpit itself, trying to find any ounce of grip from the rubber down onto the tarmac, as that is a car going slowly there, just jumping out the way, maybe coming up to lap him. And who was that off? That was Julian Retty. Retty's off.
He's lost his rear wing as well. Julian Retty, another car. Just, I mean, they feel the pressure from the drivers behind them, and then they just lose composure. That's down into turn number 9, and he's dropped it on entry, and it's a very awkward position to be off the circuit there. Very sad to see for Julian Brett. He's kept the car going though, but I think he has lost that rear wing, so very, very unfortunate for him. Yeah, you can see he's got a very naked bottom at the minute, has Julian Retty.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, it is a bit bare, as we also look here back to Antonino Segro. He's still also running around out there without a rear wing. Is this going to come to bite him now, or just ran it incredibly deep? But not as bad as earlier on. It's interesting how he's still going around though without that rear wing. Clearly he feels the Peugeot is the better car, and his pace does seem to be good, but it's incredible how he's doing this and somehow still matching the cars up front.
Yeah, I mean, he's matching the leaders at the minute. Is Seguro, so maybe a couple of other drivers. Yeah, Retty, I think maybe he's taken notice of that and done that on purpose. But you can see the struggles that he's having on exit of the corners, having to correct a snap of oversteer there. Julian Retty all over the back of, I believe that was Petterson. Here's Norbert Tamash on the rear of Aston Wilby. This is GTP against LMP2. It seems like whenever we've seen Aston Wilby, not to disrespect him, but he's been going backwards so far in this race. As here is Norbert Tamash off the exit of the midpoint of the circuit in towards now, I believe, turn number 7, I want to say turn number 7 yes. or 8. He is through on Aston Wilby and up into 11th overall.
Yeah, turn 7, you got it there, Dan. Nicely done. And now they'll come down to Pine Avenue of turn 8. And then along this Seaway Drive towards Firestone corner of turn 9. And this should be another easy pass for Tomas, because Grassetto obviously in that LMP2 as well. And the power difference just being put on show between the two different car classes there. So Tomas finally back up to 10th, and he's going to then slowly gain in on his rival in Segro in front. So, well, at the pace he's going at, I can't imagine why he wouldn't. Only 5 seconds separates them now.
Absolutely, but Segro, he's had some fantastic pace so far. He's just notched in a 1:25 on his last lap, but Norbert Tamash is flying at the minute. I believe he might have just set the fastest lap of the race, either this time by or last time by, as Tarojki, we're looking at him here. He's through on Beidou, but Favre is 20 seconds up the road, and here is Tarojki on the back of Beidou. This is in towards turn number 7 and 8, and Beidou's gone pretty wide through there. Tarojki's going to get the grip earlier, now in towards the next left-hander. No, it's a right-hander. I don't know my lefts and rights, but yeah, Tarojki through very nicely, capitalising on the mistake from Zoltan Beidou.
Yeah, brilliant overtake there, and now he's got to ice forward to see if he can chase down the virtual drivers in Favre, currently leading 19 seconds as it stands at the moment. So we'll have to keep an eye on that gap, but it is going to be quite some doing as we're slowly getting to the halfway mark in this race now. And so Beidou can also focus in once again on his own class, really, because of course they're all on the same part of the circuit. The overall race standings are important because it's nice to get ahead of all your rivals, but for Beidou, he is still leading. He's obviously leading the Pro-Am class, so he'll be very happy with that, and he'll just make sure he focuses on staying ahead of Retty behind.
I mean, it doesn't really affect the amount of points that he's going to get. He's still leading his class, as is Hafler Larson, but this could be a very nice battle shaping up between two class leaders in Hafler Larson and James Ebram. It seems like everyone else is a bit more spread out on circuit. There's a pretty big gap between Beidou and Retty at the minute. Grassetto and Diaz have a car of Aston Wilby in between them, but Hafler Larson and James Ebram right next week trial on circuit, and I think Ibram might have the slight pace advantage. He's cut that gap down from about a second to now 7/10, and now in towards turn number 9 they go. Hafler Darson will definitely be feeling the pressure.
Yeah, certainly will. We should also point out that Tomas has also gotten past Seagrove for 9th as well, so he is very much on a charge. But yeah, look back to this battle here between the two LMP2 drivers. This is, of course, for the lead in their class. Flash of the lights there. Clearly not happy as Hafler Darson. Not really sure why. I didn't really think like he was close enough, but either way, still displeased by the seams of things as the gap opens slightly back to a second, but that could just be also down to a bit of the spray getting in Ibram's eyes and on his windscreen. Look how close he gets to the back of that car. This is the back marker. They're going to have to jump out of the way, and yes, they do. And so into turn 5, he is clear.
Yeah, I don't believe they're obligated to let them through. As there's a car off the circuit there. Someone has had an off. I'm not too sure which car that was. It was a green one. Is that Prato again? I think it is.
Could well be. He's 8 laps down. My word, I think we could get quite a few cars here with some laps down this evening. Let's have a look though. This is after turn 9. So this is turn 10 and into the final corner, and that is a very damaged car.
That's Frigerio. Yeah, no, he literally just can't steer. Is he pulling off into the... Oh
no.
My... There. Frigerio's reversing it now into the pit lane. Oh my word. So he's been able to get that car up, but is he going to be able to turn it? I don't think he will. So he's going to get that towed about 5 feet down the pit lane.
Unconventional pit entry, but he got in nonetheless. So it's a shame he had to tow it from there, because he practically did all the hard work, even though he couldn't turn right. And for a clockwise circuit, it's kind of important that you can turn that way. So real shame there for Frigerio. But hopefully he has a fast pit stop at hand, and then we'll get back out fairly quickly. I don't see the pit next to his name, so I think that may be the case. We're riding here on board with Pettersson, currently 16th overall. And then when I look at the Pro-Am class for the LMDH, he's currently 6th there as well. So even though he is a bit further down the order, he's not doing too bad in the standings for his own class.
He's had a couple offs as it stands, and here's Grassetto as well, has also had a couple of incidents too, and I believe his teammate Krajvolik was involved in that massive incident between himself and Norbert Tamash. So Grassetto, the class leader for LMP2 amateur drivers. You got to respect it for Alcantech. It's been a difficult ride for them, but Grassetto is pulling up the numbers for them, and certainly it's been a very difficult race for the amateur drivers today.
Yeah, it certainly has. But I mean, for quite a lot of it, we had most of the top class amateurs actually in the podium spots. We still have one there now in Beidou. So I mean, yeah, it's been difficult for them, but there's actually more amateur drivers in the top class I'm talking about here than there are pro drivers further up the road. So it's a bit of an odd one, but it is nice to see. As I think the rain has been easing off slightly. I think I don't want to say I saw a dry line, but you could see where the cars are going over it a little bit more, removing some of that surface water. I think particularly it was through here, turn 5 and 6. You can sort of see a little bit of a line forming, but even then it's still really, really wet. So with the rain still spitting on the circuit, it's going to be probably wet throughout.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure how this is all going to pan out. It's saying on the right-hand side of your screen that it's currently moderately wet. We're in some cloudy conditions, although I see quite a lot of sunshine out on circuit, which does bring a little warmth to my heart. As we're riding on board with Hafler Darson. There was a nice battle shaping up between himself and James Ibram. No more though, because the gap has spread to 2.7 seconds around about. So I'd imagine that James Ibram at some point made a mistake. Hafler Darson's made a mistake. Hafler Darson spearing. He lost it. This is through turn number 10, I believe that is. How has he kept that rear wing? We've seen it sent into the stratosphere when Seguro minorly touched the rear of the car, spinning the car around. But then Hafler Darson on the power drops it into the wall. Rear wing's fine.
I don't know how it's not more damaged. He seems to have a pretty much intact car there. That's mighty impressive stuff. That's going to be right there from Ibram. He chops off the nose of the Swede and into the wall. Mighty reactions there from Hafler-Darson, not to be collected by James Ibram. And now he's going to have a struggle to get back to the pit lane. I think he's completely lost steering, and that is that. Into pit lane he goes, and I don't know if he has a fast pit repair left.
Yeah, I think he's all right. He is going to be able to get that quickly repaired. And now Hafler-Darson, the lone LMP2, he's going to have a very lonely race as it stands. Poor guy. I mean, Grassetto is 30 seconds back from him. Here is a replay of James Ibram, all excited that Hafler-Darson in front of him has made a mistake. He decides, I'm going to go for it. Under braking, completely loses the rear and spears off into the barrier. Almost making contact with Hafler-Darson. You said, Ashley, it was some fantastic reactions from Hafler-Darson, and then into the fountain. You need the steering there more than ever, really, and unfortunately it just didn't work for him, as Hafler-Darson is going to be feeling very fortunate, certainly, that he is still running and in the lead of his class.
Yeah, he certainly is. I wonder if we could get his POV from that, because I would imagine it's going to be a bit of a fun one when you see a car just chop across the nose. Just checking here if his steering wheel is straight, because with that with that little bump he had in the rear, I mean, I can't imagine the steering would have been broken all that much from it, but seems all right at the moment.
Yeah, no, he looked completely fine headed down the straight. I think we'll get another look of it down and towards turn number 9 when it does. As here is James Ibram once again. Oh, no, we're going to see it from Hafler-Darson's point of view. Into the corner they go. Lovely, nice little run for him. And there is James Ibram Dallara popping up right in front of him. That would have been a code brown, I'd say, from Michael Hafler-Darson.
Oh, it certainly would. And this is, when I say this is no disrespect to anybody, but it's almost comedic when you see it in that sort of fashion. Just because you're minding your own business, and then all of a sudden, a car just comes across your front bumper, and luckily no contact for Hafler-Darson. But it is quite comedic when you think about it. But no, it's a shame for Ibram, because he was having such a strong race, and of course we really would have loved to have seen the fight between them as we got deeper into it, because they were not much was separated between them.
Yeah, well, right now on our screen we've got Norbert Tamash, and he has taken, I mean, look at the gaps here. He's taken 35 seconds out of the leader. I was actually looking at the gap between Tarozki and Favre. He's lapping about a second a lap quicker than Favre, so the gap at the lead of the GTP Pros is coming down. Here is Benoit Favre on your screen. Got a little bit of traffic right in front of him. Headed in through turn number 11, that is, onto the main start finish straight. Is he going to peel off to the right hand side? I think he's just getting out of the spray of the car just in front of him. I'm trying to think who that is ahead of him on circuit. But yeah, Tarozki is cutting that lead down, as is Tamash. And I mean, we've still got just over 20 minutes left in this race. I wonder what we can see here.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it all pans out. But let's get a quick word in here once again from our fantastic sponsor in RACEDATA AI. And it is a user-friendly telemetry tool that is here to help you sim racers out there improve on the circuit. And it can give you nice, clear, simple insights into your driving data and how you attack certain circuits that you know and love. And from that data, it can, of course, help you improve right from word go and day number 1. So big thanks to RACEDATA AI for sponsoring the ARL Prototype Championship, and go check them out in the description below.
This is Leo Leung on your screen defending from Europe. This is for third in class. Leo Leung, he's had a couple of incidences so far. There is Tamash getting through on Michael Hafler-Darson. We go back on board with Leo Leung into that first corner. They go, Yuret. Don't get any silly ideas. We've seen too many offs into that first corner. keeping my fingers crossed that they're able to get this battle done nice and cleanly. Currently they're dropping time to the leaders, just having it out at the minute in sort of the mid-pack as it runs. I'm trying to think who is DNF from this race. I think Frigerio downwards are all out of this race so far. Never mind, Prato's just overtaken, and so I actually think Prato, in all of the spins and all the crashes he's had, he's still trucking.
It certainly seems that way. I think it's safe to say from Nacero and down, we have lost, and definitely I think Figuerio now as well, but I think they're downwards. I think they definitely have called it a night, and yeah, tricky conditions out there. It's not the largest surprise in the world that some of these drivers have given it up today, but it is a shame when that does happen for them. But we can look forward to still some more action on the circuit, because there are still plenty of drivers out there, none other than Grassetto here, having to look in his rearview mirrors and keep an eye on Diaz right behind him there. This is for position in the LMP2 amateur class, and this could get quite hot under the collar fairly soon, because I think Diaz has actually been closing Grassetto in.
Absolutely, he's right on the rear of Grassetto at the minute, and Lucas Diaz has had plenty of incidences so far as he's sliding his way through turn number 10, as this is the overall leader right behind him of Benoit Favre, who's going to have to wade through the traffic. He's pulled a little bit of a gap to Tarojki in behind, but now catching these guys potentially in the midst of a battle for the class lead of the LMP2 amateurs. He'll pull to the outside line in towards that first corner, flashing the lights, telling them, I'm leading this race, please do let me through. Diaz very happy to comply, but well, Favre going pretty deep into that first corner. Diaz not getting any funny ideas, he'll remain behind, but that battle for the LMP2 lead has kind of subsided. Meanwhile, the rain has stopped, I believe, Ashley.
Oh, I'm not seeing anything out there as Favre getting squirrely out of turn number 6. That was probably a brown pants moment, but just about managed to escape with everything intact. And yeah, I think the rain has stopped. The well, you can see there, look at that, the windscreen wiper barely going on Charovsky's car now. So this could be interesting, because maybe a dry line could start to form. The only thing I worry here though, Dan, is normally when we get conditions that are changing, once again, it is almost worse than if it was raining, because the drivers are going to have to try and manage corners that are constantly changing in grip levels, and the racing line will be shifting ever so slightly as the race wears on.
Yeah, they're really going to have to adjust their approach throughout the entirety, well, the rest of this race. And when it's such critical moments for some of these guys, you really do not want these kind of conditions to be at play. As Norbert Tamash has got himself up into 4th position ahead of Reti, continuing his climb back up the order. It's a big gap between himself and Zoltan Bedo, though. Here is Favre following in the wheel tracks of one of the LMP2s. That's an Alcantech car. I'm not too sure which one it is, but he's certainly going to be hoping to get out of the way very, very soon of the overall leader. Favre, really, you've got to give him credit, faultless so far.
Yeah, it certainly is, but the gap's closing down, and it's Grassetto he's trying to get past here. That's next up on the chopping block, and yeah, there he goes, nice and easy down towards turn number 7. Don't run it too deep though, as he's just about managed to do that quite nicely, so fair play to him there. Into turn 8, and no problems for him.
I almost cursed it once again. Apologies, Benoit Favre. I might actually just mute my microphone for the rest of this broadcast. You can see the field spread on the right-hand side of your picture. Favre is having a splendid time of things, but Tarojki is beginning to close that gap. Certainly following in the wheel tracks of Grassetto is not going to help Favre's case. However, Tarojki is going to have to wade through that traffic as well. And so it's not all bad, it's not all doom and gloom for Favre, especially when the sun is coming out here in Long Beach. This is sort of the weather you'd expect in California. Wasn't expecting to turn up tonight and have it be a wet one.
Yeah, you're quite right. It is known as the sunny state, I believe. It's a huge moment for Tarojki through the kink of turn number 1. He definitely clipped the wall. I don't know if he's got much damage to that car. It looks pretty unscathed to me. Maybe we can get another look of that from a different camera angle. He's still going through the fountain A-OK, and now down towards the back of the circuit, but that was...
Whoa!
Whoa, here we go. You don't have to see this. But let's just have another look. What happened there? Down through the kink of one, and he just gets a little bit of a tank slapper on.
Oh,
my
Jesus.
God.
Let
that.
I mean, somehow the gap has actually remained the same. It was 7.5 before. We're getting this once again on board with Balázs Tarozki. The gap is still the same, about 7.5 seconds. And that looked to be another white line. The paint is really killer around this circuit, and you've really got to watch where you position your car.
It certainly is. The paint is punishing, and it certainly is catching a lot of those drivers out on this circuit. But I mean, I think he's got away with that one quite spectacularly, I will add as well there, Tarozki. So he could breathe a sigh of relief, I think, as he makes his way round. I can't see any damage on his car. I mean, the big tell will be if he has a steering wheel angle as he makes his way onto a straight. But I mean, it's, yeah, at the moment it looks all okay for him, so I think he can, yeah, he can definitely breathe a sigh of relief. As I'm being told, he only lost 2/10. That is crazy.
Yeah, I think he just seems to be quicker everywhere else on circuit, and he's taken a massive chunk of time out of Benoit Favre. Might have made a mistake at some point along the road, did Favre, as Tarozki is closing it. It was about 7.5 when he had his moment. Now it's 6.0. So Tarozki is closing the gap. There's 3 cars right in front of him as we're getting a replay. This is Zoltan Bedo making a mistake. What has happened here? In towards the first corner he goes. There's another car in front of him. That is Prato exploding as he hits the wall, and Zoltan Bedo just goes straight on. Keeps it out of the wall though, under braking. But Prato, another incident right in front of him. Maybe that put him off ever so slightly, as here is the picture of Tarozki having to wade through 3 cars in front of him.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting, especially when you've got those 3 cars absolutely chucking buckets up behind them in terms of the spray, but he should be able to clear the majority of them fairly easy here. The only one he might have troubles with is Segro, as he gets it squirrely once again. He's going to go the long way round the outside, so off the racing line. That's where you want to be, really, because less rubber down on the circuit, but then it's going to be tricky in the braking. Diaz is going to go deep and try and hold him around the outside. Has he been able to hold that? I do not know. Yes, he has. There he goes through into the fountain, and Segro follows him as well. I don't know why they're putting up such a fight with Tarozki here, the second place driver overall, but this is definitely helping Favre out front because the gap is increasing slightly now.
I need to whip out the Hungarian dictionary to work out what swear words Tarozki has just uttered in that cockpit, because he will be fuming that Lucas Diaz has the gall to try that on him, and it has worked absolutely perfectly. Lucas Diaz has stayed ahead. Was that Diaz? Was that no? It was Lucas Diaz. That's Grassetto. He's just overtaken there. As yeah, Lucas Diaz, the only purple sector motorsport driver, the only purple car on the grid. A lovely splash of colour in all this red, white and green for whatever reason. But yeah, very nice stuff from him there.
You can blame me for that one, Dan, because I was calling Grassetto's car Segro because the colourings are fairly similar, but I really should have a keener eye when it comes to LMP2s to LMDHs. So yeah, that one you can absolutely pin on me. I'll take it on the chin. But either way, yeah, it was really, brave stuff from Diaz to have, yeah, like you say, have the gore to send it back. Really, really impressive stuff, as he is now going to have to wait once again through turn number 1 towards the fountain. There really is no way through, and I do think the LMP2s are quicker in this section of the course. But once you get to the exit of turn 6, the track opens its legs up a little bit and the straightaways come at you, and therefore you can put your foot down a bit better, as this could be an overtake for Leo Leung, currently P7. Is he going to be able to hang on to, I think, the move from Jurette behind? It's hard to tell. We caught it side-by-side action, but either way, Leung has been able to get ahead and hang on to the spot as Jurette tried to do it long through 10, but no way through into the final corner. And the rain and the heavens have opened back up once again, Dan.
Yeah, nice defense there from Leo Leong on Ludovic Uret. However, into that first corner, as indeed the rain has come back. We had a very dry spell for just about 5 minutes. As now in towards the first corner they go. Leo Leong, his efforts will be rewarded. He will keep that position ahead of Uret. This is for third in class in the GTP amateur drivers, the most stacked class on the grid, I believe it is. As here is Zoltan Bedo having to look in his mirrors at Norbert Tamash on his come up, who is involved in an incident at the beginning of this race. Now gets himself back into third in class. What a display from Norbert Tamash here this evening after being completely obliterated into the first corner by an LMP2 to now making his way up into third overall, getting himself ahead of Zoltan Bedo. Lovely stuff from Norbert Tamash.
It's crazy. I mean, I failed to mention it earlier, but I really should have brought it up. He has not been off the podium the entire season so far. And I thought, well, it was absolutely on the cards that it wasn't going to be that way for this race once we had that moment between him and I think it was Craig Rollick earlier on. And the fact that he has been able to just put in the laps time and time and time again with such pace, ferocity and bravery that he's now back on the podium is absolutely insane. I mean, he was on the podium for his class either way, but the overall podium as well, super impressive stuff.
His fastest lap of the race as well is a full 2.1 seconds clear of Benoit Favre. He is consistently lapping quicker than Benoit Favre's best efforts so far today. Norbert Tamash has really been impressive so far this evening. You have the fastest lap on your screen there. I mean, he's clear of pretty much everyone else. I think Tarojki is the closest driver to him. Here is James Ebram in towards turn number 1. There's a car off. Who is that? That's one of the virtual drivers is now in towards... Oh, that is so awkward for James Ebram. Oh dear, someone's missing a rear wing.
Is that Jurette? Because we saw it, I think it was Jurette we saw earlier lose his rear wing. So I'm a bit confused. As up underneath goes James Ebram. No, sorry, not James Ebram. He's been absolutely sold a dummy there, I should say, by Matthew Crisp, who went up underneath. As there goes Ebram trying to fight back into turn 7. They touch on the exit of the corner, and Crisp has to relinquish the position for the time being. But that was super.
That's Benoit Favre.
And it is Favre without a rear wing.
Here is the replay of what has happened for Benoit Favre. Hopefully I'm getting this name right. In towards the first corner he goes. So tentative under braking. You got to be so smooth with these cars. He just loses the rear on entry, and the slightest tap completely causes his rear wing to come off. And what has been a faultless race so far, a perfect 50 minutes for Benoit Favre. When it matters most in the final 10, he has lost his rear wing and the race has been completely opened up. Tarojki, a gap that was once 6 seconds at its lowest, is now 1.9, 1.8 and tumbling. Tarojki, if he keeps this up, he is going to be in prime position to get through on Favre, and you can see him pulling into the picture. Tarojki will be all over the back of him soon.
Don't count out Favre yet, though. We've seen a few other drivers out there, going around the circuit without that rear wing pushing the back of the car down. So downforce is not the be-all or end-all around this circuit. I think that's just purely down to the fact that it is wet and all of the corners are very much slow speed, so you don't need as much aero downforce keeping the car pushed into the circuit as you do mechanical grip. And of course, with or without the rear wing, you're going to get pretty much the same, as you can see him sliding through turn number 8 and onto this small back straight. I think this is going to be pretty done and dusted for Tarojki unless it all goes wrong for him, but Favre is definitely not going to give it up.
I think down the straight he's actually pulled a gap ever so slightly. With the lower downforce, he's been able to go quicker in a straight line, but through the corners, Favre is really going to struggle, and Tarojki is going to take advantage of that. Following in the wheel tracks of what has been a perfect race so far for Benoit Favre, could come all to an end here as Tarojki will close that gap now half a second in towards that first corner. Will he send it in towards turn number 1? He's so much more confident in the straight line, but Favre will remain ahead for the time being. However, Tarojki all over the back of him, now in towards the fountain section. We've got this brilliant onboard camera looking at the lurking Manatee Racing Cadillac here. Here is Tarojki all over the rear of Fever. We now go on board with the Hungarian, who is having to keep the car on the road as best he can. Now looking towards the inside line of the wounded gazelle that is Benoit Fever, the lion himself. Tarojki will go up the inside. Is this the overall race lead? I believe it is. Still side by side between the pair of them. Tell you what, Fever is doing very, very well, keeping this one up, and he remains in the lead for the time being. But I do think it is over for him. There it is. Balázs Tarojki leads this race.
It's not over yet because Favre on braking has still outdone him, so Tarojki's still in second. It isn't over just yet, Dan. Fair play to Favre for what an absolutely amazing manoeuvre to hang on to this lead. This is definitely a battle for the ages right here. Like you say, we have the limping Favre, and oh, he's just struggling to get the power down. Too much eagerness on that right foot of his. But there goes Tarojki, also struggling on the wet side of the circuit. So this is still a neck and neck drag race down towards turn number 2 of Toyota. I think it's going to be easy. Tarojki though under braking with the extra downforce. There he goes through on Favre finally. Oh, wouldn't it have been something though if he could have hanged on to that front lead, because my word, it would have been really impressive. As Leung also on the charge and the attack again, trying to go the long way around Jurette. And I believe that is Hafler Darson right in front of them as well. So the LMP2 may lose a few spots here in his overall standings, but super impressive stuff nonetheless to be 5th at the moment, as Leung now having to do some defending as well.
I mean, Jurette has been all over the back of Leo Leung for the past couple, maybe the past 10 minutes is when we saw their battle, and Leo Leung has done very well to stay ahead of Ludovic Jurette. The virtual drivers team has been a very up and down race so far. Here is Hafler Darson having to defend from Leo Leung. You can see the difference in power between the GTP and the LMP2s. Under braking, there goes Leo Leung, there goes Ludovic Jurette, and that was very touch and go if they were about to make contact. Hafler Darson has not had an easy time in that first corner with James Ebram spearing off in front of him, but he's been able to keep it on the road very nicely. Has Hafler Darson, as Siguro has had an incident just behind them. We're going to get the onboard here with Antonino Siguro. Last time out, he won in Fuji. But tell you what, the trip to Long Beach, California is certainly going to be one to forget for Antonino. He's going to keep it out of the wall just about. Very disappointing. He'll have to Austin Powers it and turn it around in a very awkward position for Siguro.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a shame though for Siguro. It's it's been a bit of a tough afternoon. You know what's funny though, Dan? You know, it's a tough afternoon for him. Of course, he really has been struggling. He's still 4th in class, even though he's 12th overall. There are only 3 pro drivers in front of him. They occupy the top 3 spots in Tarojki, Favre and Tomas. And Siguro still 4th, so he will pick up some nice points, I believe, at the end of the day, regardless. But yeah, this man currently picking up maximum as it stands at the moment, because Favre is definitely not really going to have an answer to him as we get into the final 3 minutes of this race. I do not know where the time's gone down.
I know, it really has flown by, considering all the incidents we've had as well. We're 40 laps into this race. And tell you what, Benoit Favre, you've got to take your hat off for him. He has done exceptionally well without a rear wing. I think if he keeps it on the road for the last 2.5 minutes of this race, Norbert Tamash will not be able to catch him. However, don't count anything out. But Tarojki, it's in the bag if he keeps it on the road. However, what's not in the bag is the battle for 2nd in class between the GTP amateur drivers. We have the rain has completely stopped here. Another spanner in the works. We've had a change in position from Grassetto and Diaz as well. That is the LMP2 amateur leaders, and they have both gone off. I'm getting word.
What has happened to the leader? Let's try and figure this out. We'll find out in just a moment then, because oh, here we go, we're going to find out now. Here's Tarojki in the lead still, but Favre is right behind him there. The gap half a second. I don't know if Robert's going to be able to do it, though. It's so tricky. Here is what happened, though, to Chorosky through turn number 5. All neat and tidy, close to the wall as you would expect. Oh, there goes the rear, though.
Ooh. Oh, he's
got away with that.
He's done all right there. He's done all right. He's not put it in the wall. That is the main thing. He's kept it out of the wall. He's not got any damage. He should be able to just business as usual, pull back away from and his Matthew Crisp. What has happened? We'll watch that. Oh dear.
No. Oh.
Diaz has completely destroyed his car heading in towards turn number 1, and then Matthew Crisp just gives him a little love tap there. Are we going to get a picture of what happened with Lucas Diaz? Indeed, we will. Into turn number 1. That has got to be one of the heavier hits that we have seen so far. Completely missing the back end of his car, and then gets the hit from Matthew Crisp. And what was so close to being a fantastic race for Lucas Diaz comes undone at the end.
Just couldn't get the power down. It's such a shame. There's just nothing he could really do. It's a bit powerless as that was Chorosky once again having a moment. Favre back into the picture. I think this is the final lap as well, because we've only got 30 seconds left in this race. I don't think they'll get to the line to start one more. So it all comes down to this. Can Chorosky hold his nerve here in the closing moments, or will Favre be able to retake that top spot once again? He's not got a rear wing, so he's got less downforce helping him on the straights, but into the corners, Chorosky, of course, with that massive advantage. The track is still drying out ever more into turn number 9. Only 2 corners left. Turn 10 here of Indy, and then the final hairpin. And I don't think Favre is going to be close enough. He really does struggle in the corners. You can see the back just begging for mercy and holding out just about, and now it's going to be a straight drag to the line, but Chorosky will get the power out of the corner nice and easy to take the win here for the Long Beach race. And he'll be very happy with that indeed. Favre holding out without the rear wing there in second. Tomas some 20 seconds back. I think he's going to come home in third, as we've got Grassetto finishing in first for the amateur LMP2s. That is super impressive as well indeed. I think Wilby's already he's going to be crossing the line, so Hafler Darson without a doubt is going to take the LMP2 Pro win here, and the Swede finally gets to take the top spot. And who can forget this man as well? Zoltan Bedo also barely doing anything wrong in this race. I think just the pace of Tomas was too much to handle because he was on a flyer. But he rounds the final corner and is coming up to the line to take his amateur win in the GTP class.
Yeah, very well done from Zoltan Bedo, as Hafler Darson really hasn't put a foot wrong so far today. He has been, I don't believe Hafler Darson made a single mistake and is in my running for one of the best drivers today, as here he is off the exit of the final corner. A little bit of a celebration there. Michael Hafler Darson, the Super Swede, will take the win for the LMP2 class. There is Frigerio coming back out onto the circuit and finishing 17 laps down. Fair play to him. Maybe just wanted to give a little bit of a show to Hafler Darson, as there's someone doing some donuts there. But what a race that was.
Oh, absolute chaos, I think, is the way you can word that. But I mean, yeah, it really was a show for the ages, and what a way to celebrate the Golden Jubilee for Long Beach. As I'm trying to work out who that is doing that. I think that could be Hafler Darson. Yeah, the Swede absolutely loving every moment of getting his initial win here for the series. It's been a long time coming, I feel, for him. He's been up there constantly, and it's just through not even always a fault of his own, maybe a small mistake here and there, but he's just not been able to snatch that win. But today, he finally has done so.
Yeah, really well done to Michael Hafler Darson. Well done to Grassetto as well. Takes another win, his first since Le Mans, I believe that is. Hafler Darson celebrating with his teammate. Is that Matthew Crisp? It's one of the Alcantechs. So yeah, happy days. It's Grassetto. Oh, fair play to them. They've swept. They have swept. Alcantech has swept LMP2.
They certainly have. They'll be very happy with that indeed. And I can happily say, I think for the first time here this season, we've actually got someone in the interview room, Dan. So we have our overall race leader But we will have a word with him in just a few short moments' time. Sorry to get your hopes up there, but we'll get to just a moment as we do look at the overall race results first of all, and it will be Balázs Tarowski with the overall win by just under a second from Benoit Fauvert. Mighty impressive race from those two. And Norbert Tomas, I don't know how he managed it, but he did get onto the podium there in the end. Zoltan Bedo will be fourth with Leo Leung fifth, and Michael Havler-Darson picks up his initial win in the series as well, and sixth overall in his LMP2. Ludovic Juret is seventh with Fabio Grassetto also getting a win for the Alcantech team. He'll be taking the top spot in the LMP2 AMS in eighth. Julien Retty is ninth, and Aston will be rounding out our top 10 here. And then we get to Antonino Segro, Nathaniel Wilkins, Matthew Crisp, Lucas Diaz, James Ebram, Oliver Pettersson and Benjamin Frigerio. I believe those are our actual finishers, and the non-finishers will be Hugo Preto, Simone Nucera, Silas Krag-Vrolik, Cedric Holbom, Cesar Cabral, John Williams and Christian Malcherek, who are the bottom two I don't even think got to the starting grid, so real shame, but yeah, it was tricky conditions. Well, Dan, I mentioned it already. I think we've got everyone's hopes up now. Let's bring our overall race winner into the channel here and the chat. And why don't you take this one, Dan?
I completely caught off guard there. Tarowski, welcome in, my friend. How are you this evening?
Hello, thank you. I'm good.
All right, so, I mean, what a race from yourself there. It got very, very hairy towards the end, and there was a fantastic battle between yourself and Benoit Fauvert. Can you talk us through sort of what was going through your mind when you two were scrapping it out?
Yeah, well, the main thing was that there was only really one line, and it was really hard to break offline and go, off the drier line. So it was really hard to overtake him, but yeah, I got it done.
Yeah, and I want to ask about that. What happened in the very first corner? You were right behind Simone Nucera when that happened. What went through your mind? What were you thinking when you just saw that car completely explode?
Yeah, during practice, I had that a couple of times because the wet lines were like curving along the main street, and you had to keep between them. And I was just praying, and you also can't see the lines because of the spray in front. So I just followed him, kind of lifted a bit, and I saw. But as soon as I saw that he was going left, I knew he touched the curb, the white. So yeah, it was scary.
Yeah, talk us through these interchangeable conditions that we saw. We saw heavy rain. We saw some sunshine towards the end. The rain stopped at some point. How did you manage these very, very tricky conditions and sort of keep it on the road when others couldn't?
Yeah, just leaving some margin in it. But I still overshot. For example, in turn 5, twice I was facing the wrong way. So it's just trying to preemptively back off a bit, but you can't really do much.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were splendid today. You took the overall win. Surely that has got to feel good. You've won your second race of the season.
Yeah, it's good, but unfortunately my teammate had some really bad luck today. So shout out to him for still finishing P3.
Yeah, he keeps his 100% podium streak alive here today.
P3. Sorry.
I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. The pair of you have been splendid this season. I'll pass you over to Ashley. Is there anything you want to ask to our winner today?
No, I think you've pretty much covered it, Dan. So all I really have to say to you is congratulations, Tarowski, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much for joining us here as well. Lovely. Well, that was our overall race winner, and brilliant to have a chat with him at last. I feel like it seems for some of these drivers, finally get to have a word with them, Dan. Let's have a chat here with the super Swede, Michael Havler-Darson. Hello, welcome. I mean, long time coming, does it feel like, for this race win?
Yeah, it's been long overdue. I think should have had it at Portimao, but then obviously got taken out by GTP there, which was very frustrating. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. Crispy got his win first, and it's been annoying to hear that ever since. So it's good to at least have one win now.
You can finally go back and say, well, you're not alone anymore. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly.
It's always nice to have a bit of bragging rights. But no, well done and fair play for finally getting your initial win here. I mean, tricky conditions out there. Talk us through it, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, a bit surprised as I messed up my qualifying lap and still started pole. I think that's basically what helped me win today. But then also trying to fuel save and seeing games like catch up and drop back and catch up and drop back was kind of nerve-wracking. And then obviously me touching the curb in the left-hander before the hairpin a bit wrong, putting the rear end in the wall was scary. I thought I was going to get a meatball flag, but luckily I didn't. And then I think James must have touched a white line or something into turn 1 when he hit the wall. And after that it was just plain sailing.
Yeah, it certainly looked it after that. I mean, I'm quite surprised there was no damage, of course, when you did make contact with the wall. But aside from that one, of course, we did see you having a pretty decent battle of it with James Ebram. I mean, how scary was it for you when you saw him chop across your nose?
No, it was at first it was fine, but then when I started to realize that he's losing his rear end and he's going to go into the wall, I got a bit scared and tried to avoid it. Luckily, I got sideswiped by him bouncing out from the wall, so I don't think there was too much damage. And after that, like, I mean, I don't know how big of the gap behind, but it was 20 seconds plus. I could just cruise and try to save the fuel to do the no stopper.
Yeah, fortune certainly did seem to favour you here this evening, Michael. But I mean, you definitely feels like it was deserved and a long time coming. So fair play and well done all round. Before we let you go on your way, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and a thanks to this evening?
Yes, I promised my manager to do something, so I'm gonna do a Donald Trump imitation, so I'm very sorry beforehand. My teammates, they're gonna be very tired of me winning, but it's okay. I'm not gonna win next round. So thank you all. Thank you, Alex, for watching the race.
Thank you for that, Michael.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Brilliant. Lovely. We'll let you go on your way.
Thank you.
Oh, you gotta love it sometimes. You never know what's gonna be thrown up at you.
In America as well.
Well,
quite
yeah,
fitting.
I mean, it certainly was. I mean, definitely. All I could say for Michael there, he was simply the best I've seen all evening. That was my awful one. There you go.
I'm not going to try it, honestly.
No, it's fine. Right, Dan. Well, we'll bring Fabio in because he also got a lovely win for the Alcon Tech team here this evening. So, Grassetto. Dan, I'll let you have him.
Hello. Yeah.
Fabio, I mean, you were off at turn number 1, if I'm not mistaken, on the very first lap of the race. What
I did
what are you thinking?
360 there. I went to. Honestly, I also braked a little bit earlier than usual, but it wasn't enough because my tires locked up, and as soon as they lock up, you just go straight. And I saw a lot of cars like spinning and going around in the first corner, and I was not going in there. So I just thought to take the runoff area, do a quick 360, and then come back on the road.
Yeah, I mean, well, you executed it nearly to perfection, and you got your race going, and you were very, very close with Lucas Diaz throughout the entirety of it. Tell me about that battle between your one of your rivals. It's a very close title fight between yourself and Lucas Diaz, currently in the amateur class. How did that pan out for you today?
Yeah, I was fuel saving all throughout the race, so I don't know if Lucas was fuel saving because he had a lot of pace, and I hope that he was fuel saving. If he was fuel saving, he had a lot more pace than me. And yeah, so I stayed behind him. I tried to keep him behind, but I also did a small mistake because I got crispy in front, and I oversteered out of a corner, and he got me on traction in that corner. But from then on, I was just trying to fuel save and stay behind him because I hoped at least that he was going to pit.
Yeah, well, I mean, other than your incident in the very first corner, I don't actually believe you really put a foot wrong today. So what was sort of the difference between yourself? On our picture, we have Lucas Diaz completely binning it into the first corner towards the end of the race. What was the difference between yourself and your rival today?
I think I just stayed more safe, also because I have the lead in the championship, so I can do it. He maybe has to push a bit more than me. And today was very, very tricky. In this track is not easy on the dry. It's even worse on the wet. I love this track because it's so fun when you nail it. But yeah, it was very tricky with this condition. It was very hard to keep it on track. I was maybe more cautious than what I should have been, also because I had one lap more of fuel at the end of the race. So yeah, I think the difference was just I was more conservative than him.
Yeah, well, I mean, Long Beach, you've certainly conquered today. But next time out, we head to Imola, home race for yourself. I'm not used to the not being Grand Prix just yet. It's a home race for you next time out. Are you looking forward to that?
I'm really looking forward to it. Imola is like 1 hour or 2 hours drive from my house. I will go there on Saturday to watch WEC, and I'm really hyped up. Now with this P2 overall, I want to win next race because I love the track. I will practice a lot, and yeah, I hope to win it next week.
Oh, well, I'm very happy to hear that from you. And you know what? You're watching it next week at Imola. You'll be studying them cars, I bet, and wondering, oh, where can I take the line here? So I think you're ahead of the game of everyone else.
Yeah, I don't know if I can learn a lot, but yeah, I will certainly have fun, both Saturday and also on Monday in the next race.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant stuff from you here today. I'll pass you over to Ashley. Anything you want to say to Fabio here?
No, not really, Fabio. I think Dan's covered pretty much the entirety. Just another big congratulations from me. Well done this evening, picking up the win. And is there anybody you'd like to give a quick thanks and a shout out to as well?
Yeah, shout out to everyone that is watching at home, to my girlfriend, I think she is watching, to my friends, and yeah, shout out to them. Ciao, ragazzi.
Well, thank you very much, Fabio, and we'll let you get on with your evening. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Lovely. Well, that is it, Dan. That is all we're going to have time for here this evening. We've got through the interviews, which is a nice change of pace, you could say, to finish off a race here. And what a race it was here at Long Beach as well. What are your final thoughts?
It was certainly something. I don't quite know what that something is, but it was a very entertaining. It was very unexpected, everything that happened. I think when Favre lost his car and we didn't quite know what was happening, that was one of the golden moments, to be honest. And seeing the drama of James Ebram spearing across Hafler Darson's nose, I mean, it was all over the place. And that was what was fun about this race today.
Yeah, certainly was. Chaotic, wet, but exciting, I think, to say the least. And hopefully we'll get a similar experience next week when we head to Italy for Imola, and another 60-hour? 60 hour? Oh, that would be long. 60-minute race there once again on the 21st of April. So don't go too far away, because we will have some more fantastic action lined up for you here on Apex Racing TV. One final big shout out to our sponsor RACEDATA AI, and a huge thanks for them for sponsoring the series. But that is going to be all from us, myself, Ashley Denman, and Dan Field alongside me, and of course Sam Fitzpatrick keeping it all running behind the scenes as well. Hope you all enjoyed it as much as we have here today, and we'll see you in a week's time for Imola. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
It's all about precision, but do you really know where you're losing time? Your braking, throttle control, and racing line. Every detail matters, but without the right data, you're just guessing. This is where RACEDATA gives you the edge. Instantly analyze your lap data, see exactly where you're losing time, and make real improvements. Know your weaknesses, fix them, get faster. Stop guessing, start improving. Try RACEDATA today.